3 Sky players coming over.
They tried to tear me down because they knew they couldn't rise to my level. Now I'm still here. Where are they?
Jumper is good. Kennedy Carter now with 12 points off the bench.
I feel like I'm just at the point where you accept it and don't retaliate. Like, you know, just let them hit you. Be what it is. Don't let it get inside your head.
She turned to you a little bit after the fever
I
score.
didn't answer no Caitlin Clark questions.
Did she say anything to you?
I don't know what she said.
What'd you say to her?
I didn't say anything.
That's enough.
And again, some of this to me probably is not fair to her because it was not anything that she said or was truly based on her personality, but she was a white girl from the middle of America.
Because when brilliance enters the room, those who've held the spotlight often respond, not with grace, but with shade. The WNBA is evolving, and the catalyst for that change? Caitlin Clark. So when a respected veteran starts dropping lines about reality, chances are it's not just commentary, it's a crack in the armor. And in Diana Taurasi's case, that reality check, it had everything to do with Caitlin.
Reality is coming.
Okay.
You know, there's levels to this thing, and that's just life. We all went through it.
Of course.
And you see it on the NBA side, and you're gonna see it on this side, where you know you look superhuman playing against 18-year-olds, but you're gonna come with some grown women that've been playing professional basketball for a long time.
It was the soundbite that echoed through every corner of the league. A seemingly wise remark, veiled in mentorship, but let's be real, this wasn't sage advice. This was a shield. A legendary Hall of Famer, a 2-decade staple of the WNBA, sending out a signal, not just to fans, but to herself, that this was still her domain. Only it wasn't. Because Caitlin Clark didn't flinch. She didn't waver. She just kept balling, threading impossible passes, burying deep threes, and hijacking headlines while Taurasi's numbers quietly slipped into the shadows. That statement that once rang with authority, in hindsight, it hits differently, not as confidence, but as caution. A warning shot, not aimed at Caitlin, but at everyone else. Don't crown her yet. That was the message Taurasi wanted the world to hear. But as time passed, the mask slipped. The conviction in her voice softened. And the same veteran who once spoke of grown women and levels, she started sounding different.
She was a college kid.
College kid back then.
Not
Now
anymore.
we got to get professional.
Caitlin's grown.
Caitlin has grown.
Boy, Caitlin's amazing.
Yeah, Caitlin has grown. So we're excited for that.
That wasn't just a shift in tone, it was instinct, plain and simple. Because when someone comes in and rewrites the script while the ink is still wet, when she overtakes you in fame, influence, and production, you've got 2 moves: push back or step aside. Taurasi, she took the latter route. This wasn't a heartfelt embrace. It was a distress signal from a legend watching the new wave crash straight through the league's front doors wearing number 22. Let's not dance around it. They're nervous. Not of Caitlin Clark as a person, but of the symbol she's become. She doesn't just threaten the throne, she's dragging it into a new era. Her arrival signals more than just change. It spells out a sunset for those who've reigned for years. Taurasi's early comments weren't just casual advice, they were the first cracks showing in a wall built on legacy. And then came another tremor, subtle but sharp. During a routine press stop, Breanna Stewart fielded a harmless question about Caitlin, the kind of media throwaway that usually earns a safe, friendly soundbite. But instead of applause or even guarded compliments, Stewart served up a line that made ears perk and tempers rise. You had to lean in to catch it, but once you did, it said everything.
Does Caitlin Clark need a championship to be considered one of the greats in women's college basketball history?
Yeah, she does.
That wasn't just an offhand remark, it was a line in the sand, a quiet dare, a subtle reminder from one of the WNBA's most decorated stars that her legacy wasn't fueled by headlines. It was built brick by brick with titles and trophies, but beneath that composed exterior and polished poise, there was something else simmering, vulnerability. Because what Caitlin Clark is doing, Stewart never had to. This isn't just a strong start, it's a takeover. As a rookie, Clark isn't easing into the league, she's electrifying it. She's packing seats, smashing ratings records, and dominating the narrative every single day. Not years down the line, now, immediately. And when you pull up the numbers, Clark's already eclipsing Stewart in multiple advanced metrics: efficiency, playmaking, overall influence. Her usage is sky high, defenses orbit around her. She's not just her team's focal point, she's the league's gravitational center. So what does a seasoned MVP do when a newcomer starts rattling the pillars? She pivots to what Clark hasn't won yet: the hardware, the championship card, the one chip left on the table. But that's the tricky thing about fear. It doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it dresses itself up as strategy or calm indifference or veiled exclusivity. Stewart wasn't just defending the value of title. She was guarding her generation. Because somewhere deep inside, even she recognizes the truth. Caitlin Clark doesn't need a ring to run the league. She's already doing it.
Right, she's competitive and she wants excellence and she wants it now, and that's what makes her great. Foul call on Alicia Clark, and that is her second. And put Caitlin Clark to the stripe. Oh yeah, that's a foul.
When Alicia Clark delivered that unapologetic swipe across Caitlin's face, it wasn't a basketball move, it was a message. No remorse, no excuse, just a calculated blow that said more than any post-game soundbite ever could. That wasn't defense, it was desperation. That was the reaction of someone watching the narrative slip away in real time. Caitlin wasn't just having a strong performance, she was becoming the headline, the center of gravity. And for some veterans who fought for years to earn their shine, watching the spotlight shift overnight, that stings. It doesn't just challenge their game, it threatens their legacy. After the buzzer, Alicia didn't soften her stance or offer context. Instead, she doubled down. And when questioned about the league's growing fixation with Clark, her response wasn't thoughtful or measured. It was dismissive, almost defiant. This wasn't just a player reacting to hype. It was a veteran grappling with a new reality, one where a rookie is setting the pace, owning the narrative, and forcing a league to pivot around her.
I just want to hear your thoughts about just the whole conversation surrounding Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you have people that have never spoken to a single player in this league and asked us our thoughts. And you're out here making assumptions based on behalf of these notions that you're creating in your head, these storylines you're creating in your head. And so I don't pay it any mind. Charles Barkley has never talked to any of us. All these people that are on these platforms talking, they've never talked to us. And so for me, it's noise.
The tone said everything. Alicia Clark's response wasn't just for the cameras, it was a signal. A rebuttal not to the media, but to the momentum Caitlin Clark has brought crashing into the league. This wasn't a casual dismissal. It was a defiant push against a shifting landscape that no longer had Alicia's name in bold. She didn't want to answer questions about Caitlin. She didn't want to hear the hype. She wanted the buzz silenced. But here's the issue. It's not just buzz. It's a full-on takeover. And in their head-to-head clash, the numbers did the talking. Caitlin poured in 20 points, handed out 9 assists, and orchestrated the pace from start to finish. Alicia, a quiet 5 points on minimal touches. The contrast wasn't subtle. It was staggering. That game didn't just feature a rookie versus a veteran. It showcased the changing of the guard. What happened on that court wasn't just a hard foul, it was symbolic. A vet watching her influence evaporate under the lights, in front of a national audience. That slap, it wasn't just frustration, it was a statement. A sign that deep down, Alicia knows what's approaching fast. There's a kind of gritty veteran edge that gets worn like a badge. Talking trash, throwing in an extra shove, sneaking in a little elbow after the whistle. It's not about stopping the opponent, it's about establishing territory. And when Victoria Vivians lined up against Caitlin Clark, that's exactly what she tried to do. Stake a claim and send a message.
She comes off a pin down here, wide open. Bang!
We might need to update the graphic now.
From the moment the ball was tossed, Victoria Vivians came out swinging. With attitude, with grit, with something to prove. She wasn't just playing tough, she was making a statement. This wasn't about winning. This was about putting Caitlin Clark in check, sending a message, enforcing the old guard. But here's the problem. Clark doesn't play by those rules. She doesn't fit in a place someone else defines. She creates her own space. Vivians tried everything in the veteran toolbox. Jawing, bumping, subtle fouls, post-whistle energy, but none of it landed. Caitlin didn't flinch. She didn't get caught up in the antics. She didn't lash out. She just did what she always does. Ran the show. Buckets, dimes, commanding tempo, owning the moment. And when the game ended and reporters asked about all the bumps, the tension, the rough treatment she absorbs every single game, Caitlin didn't complain. She didn't deflect. She gave it to them straight, honest and unbothered.
Yeah, I think just being competitive is who I am. It's what I've done my whole career. I think at times there's ways I can probably channel it a little bit better, but that's just basketball at the end of the day. No, that's never gonna change. I'm never gonna lose that. I feel like I'm getting hammered.
That final remark, feels like I'm getting hammered, spoke volumes. Caitlin Clark gets it. She understands exactly what's going on. She knows she's being singled out, played extra rough, and tested every trip down the court. But she's not flinching. She's not here to win popularity contests or get pulled into emotional sparring matches with seasoned pros clinging to their domain. She's here for one thing, to dominate. And that's precisely what happened. Vivians brought the grit, Clark answered with poise. By the final buzzer, all that jawing, all those elbows, and all the psychological psychological warfare had accomplished nothing. Vivian's was simply outplayed, outshined, and outscored. She tried to shake the rookie's confidence, only to highlight what the league is slowly waking up to. You can't rattle a player who already knows she belongs. Now, Kahleah Copper is no stranger to pressure. A battle-tested vet with championship hardware and a finals MVP to her name, she thrives in the chaos, fuels her game with edge and emotion. But when she lined up across from Clark, the atmosphere shifted. This wasn't just physical, it felt personal. From the opening minute, Copper brought heat. She barked, pressed, and tried to impose her will, determined to let everyone know whose house it was. And at first, it looked like vintage Copper, loud, aggressive, commanding. But then Caitlin did what she does best, silently took over. Precision shooting, smart passing, full control, and just like that, the cracks in the armor started to show.
Leaking out behind the defense. Copper taking it at Clark, who just had to foul her. That was a smart foul there by Caitlin Clark, just her first. And what would have been
After a foul, Copper didn't just shoot a glare or mumble a few words. She exploded, right in Caitlin's face, screaming, trying to shatter the rookie's resolve with nothing but raw aggression. But Caitlin didn't flinch. She didn't give Copper the satisfaction of a reaction. No back and forth, no trash talk, just a cold, emotionless remark that flipped the entire power dynamic. It's just a foul. And that was the moment Copper cracked. Because you can't dominate someone who refuses to be dominated. You can't rattle a player who's already operating 5 steps ahead of the game. Caitlin Clark showed Copper something she didn't see coming. She was unshakable. The numbers told the story. Caitlin finished with 29 points, 10 assists, 5 rebounds, and 4 threes on 50% shooting. A true clinic in composure and control. Copper? She put up 32 points, but it came on 6 of 17 shooting. No assists, 5 turnovers, all hustle, no finesse. The contrast was undeniable. And then, off the court, the difference only grew wider. Caitlin's jersey sales were tripling Copper's. Her games were drawing double the viewership. The buzz on social media? All centered on Clark. Endorsements, highlight clips, the spotlight was firmly on her. That's where the frustration truly lay. It wasn't about one game or one foul. It was about what Caitlin Clark represents. A new era, a new face of the league, a fresh force that had captured the public's attention in ways the WNBA had struggled to do until now. So when Copper let loose, it wasn't just to disrupt Caitlin's game, it was a desperate attempt to slow down her momentum. But here's the kicker. You can't stop momentum with noise. You can't outshine the future by shouting at it. In the end, Copper's outburst did nothing but highlight the inevitable truth. Caitlin didn't lose control. She owned it from the start. Some fouls stopped the play. Others, they try to send a message.
Indiana Fever in the Chicago Sky here from Wintrust Arena. The Fever have really stretched out this one.
Diamond didn't even attempt to contest the ball or make a play for it. She made a single, calculated decision. Hit Caitlin Clark. A full-speed collision during a fast break. No shot in motion, no play developing. Just a blatant body check that sent Clark crashing to the floor and silenced the crowd. Diamond didn't follow up, didn't protest the call, and didn't glance back. In her mind, the message had already been sent. This wasn't about playing defense or making a legal challenge. It was about trying to knock Caitlin Clark down a peg. A physical act designed to remind the rookie of her place, to reinforce that the spotlight doesn't just land on anyone, it's earned. But this is where Diamond's plan fell apart. Caitlin didn't stay down. She didn't complain, didn't engage in any theatrics. Instead, she bounced up, met Diamond's gaze, and calmly walked to the free throw line. No drama, no retaliation, just the cold, steely composure that hits harder than any shove ever could. In that instant, everything flipped. The moment Diamond thought would rattle Caitlin only exposed the truth. You can't shake a player who's been the target every night since day one. You can't intimidate someone who knows they're the biggest story in the league. And no, you certainly can't stop her with a single foul. All Diamond did was show the world just how limited the options are when defending Caitlin Clark. She's not just beating teams with her numbers, she's mentally dominating them, dictating the game, owning the spotlight, and daring defenders to try anything to knock her off her game. When the best answer they can come up with is a reckless foul, that's not toughness, that's desperation. Diamond wanted to send a message, but Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese didn't just enter the WNBA as rookies, they came with history. A history born in March Madness, fueled by the media and propelled by millions of fans who picked sides and never looked back. The difference, though, is that Caitlin moved on. Angel, she carried it.
Clark, hammer. 3 Sky players coming over.
When they first faced off in the pros, it didn't take long for the simmering tension to erupt. In one of their early WNBA matchups, Reese delivered a brutal hip check that sent Clark tumbling to the floor. It was harsh, undeniable, and eventually upgraded to a flagrant one. But what made the moment even more telling was the smirk. That smirk spoke volumes. It wasn't just a hard foul or a strategic move. It was personal, payback, an emotional outburst masquerading as physical defense. And when the dust settled, Reese Reese didn't back off. She didn't try to calm things down. Instead, she doubled down.
I guess some people got a special whistle.
A not-so-subtle shot aimed at Clark implied she was getting preferential treatment, calls fueled by media hype and favor, as if she was shielded by the spotlight. But here's the issue with that narrative. The numbers don't support it. Caitlin Clark averages 4.1 free throw attempts per game, which is below the league average for guards. Angel Reese, on the other hand, gets 5.2 attempts per game. So who's really benefiting from the extra calls? The numbers tell one story, while the quotes tell another. And that gap, that's where the fear resides. Because it's not just about Reese losing a stat sheet battle, it's about her losing relevance in real time. In head-to-head matchups, Caitlin's stats speak for themselves. 21.4 points per game, 5.6 rebounds, 4.5 assists, shooting 45.3% from the field. Compare that to Angel Reese's 12.1 points, 8.3 rebounds, and 1.9 assists on 39.1% shooting. That's not a gap, it's a chasm. Reese plays rough, Clark plays sharp. Reese throws elbows, Clark throws dimes. Reese barks at the refs, Clark lets her box score do the talking. Sure, Reese is physical, she hustles, grabs boards, plays hard, but when her stat line doesn't measure up and her team's getting outclassed, the frustration sets in. The hits get harder, the comments get pettier, and the focus shifts from playing the game to trying to undermine the opponent. But that's not confidence, that's insecurity. And here's the bigger truth. Caitlin doesn't need to respond. She doesn't need to retaliate. She knows the best way to silence the noise is with buckets, and she delivers every single time. In all 3 matchups against Reese this season, Clark has dropped 20-plus points and orchestrated her team's offense with flawless precision. Meanwhile, Reese struggles to keep up defensively, getting exposed in isolation, yet still, she smirks, chirps, and embraces the villain role like it's armor. But it's really just a mask that barely hides the pressure she feels watching the league shift under her feet. Because this isn't college anymore. The WNBA is Caitlin's world now. And Reese, she's stuck throwing elbows while Clark is busy making history. When you look at all the fouls, the trash talk, the post-game deflections, one pattern emerges. They're trying everything and nothing is working. Angel Reese tried to overpower her. Kylia Copper tried to intimidate her. Victoria Vivians tried to provoke her. Diamond DeShields tried to knock her flat. Caitlin Clark didn't just survive through it all, she thrived. She dropped 20 points or more on Reese every time, cooked Copper while staying cool, outclassed Vivians without saying a word, and stared down DeShields like she was already planning the next play. This isn't just resilience, it's dominance. And when veterans start cracking under the pressure of a rookie, that's not just competition, that's fear. Some players foul to stop a fast break. Others foul out of frustration. Kennedy Carter fouled to send a message.
Jumper is good. Kennedy Carter now with 12 points off the bench.
In one of the most talked about moments of Caitlin Clark's rookie season, Kennedy Carter delivered a blindside off-ball shove that instantly went viral. There was no play unfolding, no ball in sight, just sheer intent. It wasn't about physicality, it was personal. But Caitlin's reaction? Not anger, not retaliation, just calm. She didn't let the provocation shake her. Instead, she stood firm, letting her composure and performance do the talking.
We saw the play in the third quarter where Carter kind of decked you. How do you respond to that and stay within yourself?
I feel like I'm just at the point where you accept it and don't retaliate. Like, just let them hit you, be what it is. Don't let it get inside your head and know it's coming. I think at this point, I know I'm going to take a couple hard shots a game. It is what it is, I guess. I don't know.
That's how you know Caitlin Clark is already built for the moment. She didn't let it rattle her, she expected it, absorbed it, and then just kept on working. While Carter threw a cheap shot, Clark went on to score 18 points, dish out 7 assists, and shoot efficiently. Carter? She finished with 9 points, 2 assists, and a shooting percentage that screamed frustration more than finesse. And here's the twist of fate. Months later, Kennedy Carter was off the roster. Locker room tension, free agency limbo, a fallout that begs the question, was it just bad timing, or was it karma for trying to take down the league's new face? Because in this league, talent isn't enough. Composure matters, leadership matters. And Carter's moment didn't show strength, it showed panic. She didn't just shove Caitlin Clark, she shoved her way out of the league. Are they scared? Maybe. You won't hear them say it out loud, you won't see them admit it in post-game interviews, but look closer. Fear doesn't always scream. Sometimes it shows up as a shove to the back. Sometimes it hides behind passive-aggressive quotes. Sometimes it masks itself as veteran toughness. But the truth is, Caitlin Clark has forced a reckoning. She's not just a rookie, she's a disruption, a cultural reset, a walking headline, highlight reel, and marketing machine wrapped in the game of the most fearless shooter the league's seen in years. And the veterans, they aren't just playing defense anymore, they're fighting for relevance. Because every time Caitlin steps on the court, she's not just making buckets, she's shifting the spotlight, stealing attention, breaking records, and changing the conversation. And And the response from the league's old guard? Hard fouls, cold quotes, thinly veiled resentment. But here's the problem with trying to bully greatness. It doesn't flinch. It finishes. Caitlin Clark leads all rookies in points, assists, and three-pointers. She's top 5 in jersey sales. Her games double the league's average viewership, and every arena she walks into suddenly feels like a sold-out concert. This isn't just a strong rookie season. This is a takeover. The league doesn't need to fear Caitlin Clark, but whether they admit it or not, they already do.
Right, she's competitive and she wants excellence and she wants it now, and that's what makes her great. Foul call on Alicia Clark.
Okay.
Caitlin's grown.
Caitlin has grown.
Boy, Caitlin's amazing.
Yeah, Caitlin has grown. So
Indiana Fever in the Chicago Sky here from Wintrust Arena. The Fever have really stretched out this one.
Thanks for watching. See you in a next video.